Oh my God! You're crying. It's so beautiful.
This wolf's name is Ahanu. Ahanu is the biggest wolf. In the back is Ohanzi. Even though Ohanzi is a lot smaller, Ohanzi at the back is the boss. And so when it gets growly in here, most of the growling is coming from this wolf because he can only be by me when Ohanzi allows it. So he's with me now. Ohanzi has walked away and he's basically saying, that's okay, I don't mind. But if Ohanzi comes back, that's when the growling can start, because when he comes back, he makes Ahanu move away from him. And Ahanu doesn't like that. I'm kind of like a toy for them, boys and girls. These two brother wolves mostly get along, mostly choose to stay close to one another all the time. But when I come in, they kind of don't share well. I'm sort of like a toy for them, and they don't want to share. So maybe it won't happen. I see Ohanzi's moved inside. Now he's thinking of coming back out again. Maybe there won't be any disagreement today. So wolves are called muzzled greeters. When they say hello to another wolf, they take the other wolf's face in their teeth, and that's how they say hello. And that's what's happening here with Ahanu. He's giving me a wolf greeting. But if you notice, he's wondering where his brother is. He's finding it strange that his brother has let me have time with him. And he's finding it peculiar, and he's actually curious. What's his brother doing? What's his brother thinking? When I come in with the wolves every day, it's not always predictable. I don't know what they're going to do, and I really like that part of the job. And this is interesting. He's choosing to go away from me, but now he's growling at his brother, and now he's thinking, uh-oh, if Ohanzi comes over by me now, he won't be able to be by me. So now he's hurrying back to be by me, and he's growling. Here comes the boss. Ohanzi's going to move and get between me and Ahanu. So Ahanu is making all the noise. Ahanu is complaining. This happens every day, and in 12 years these wolves have never hurt one another. In fact, usually when Ahanu is doing this, Ohanzi is smiling, look, and his tail is wagging. Even though his brother is snapping right in his face, Ohanzi is relaxed and his tail is wagging. I'm going to shift over here to him so that he doesn't have to get between me and Ahanu. I'm just trying to take a little of the pressure away. It'd be nice to do. So, boys and girls, moms and dads, here's some things we are learning. We are learning what sounds very serious to our ears is not so serious to the wolves. Ahanu is still trying to keep between me and Ohanzi. Ohanzi's just circling. It's important that you understand, if Ohanzi wanted to, here he is. He just did it. He can do this every time. He's the boss. He's allowing his brother to holler at him. But he's here getting the loving that he wants to get. And brother now has to wait. Yeah, you always get your way, don't you? You always get your way. So, we learned about wolf talk. Here's another lesson we learned. Wolf brothers are like people brothers. They're like people brothers and sisters. That is to say, people brothers and sisters don't always get along either. Sometimes we get frustrated. Sometimes we don't share very well. And sometimes we yell and say nasty things, but we don't hurt one another. And that's what happens. That's what you just saw. Two brother wolves having a disagreement, not wanting to share, but using their words to solve their disagreements. A lot of noise, snapping and snarling, but nobody ever gets hurt. So keep those lessons in mind, because some of that has to do with my safety in here. I want to tell you this story. I want to talk to you about why I can be in with the wolves, especially when they're being snappy and snarly like that, and feel as relaxed and comfortable as I do. Here comes the boss back again. These wolves came to us as babies. They were born in captivity. Zoos don't take animals from the wild anymore. We get our animals mostly from other zoos. Yeah. Their mother lived in a sanctuary, a home for unwanted wild animals, and she gave birth to these puppies. And when these puppies were only 10 days old, the lady who owned the sanctuary took the puppies away from their mother and started raising them on a baby walk. She did that so the wolves would grow up to be tame and used to people. When I decided to have wolves here at Fort Rickey, I knew I was going to want to do a show like this with the wolves. So the wolves came to me as 8-week-old puppies. And here was the question for me. What is the best way to raise wolf puppies so that when they're big, powerful adults like this, I can come in with them and be safe? What is the best way to raise my wolf puppies?
Firstborn.
Say it again?
Firstborn.
Firstborn?
You raise them as your own, they think that you're the mother or the father.
Well, you know, here was my plan. My plan was to raise the wolves up to respect me as the boss. I'd raise them with a strong, firm hand. I'd let them know I was always in control, that I was the boss. That is the natural way of the wolf pack, boys and girls. In the wolf pack, there is one adult male wolf that rules the wolf pack. What do we call that adult male wolf that is the leader? The alpha male. So I figured I would just plug into their own normal system, raise them up to think of me as the alpha male. Boys, legs back on the other side for me. I just saw the wolves looking at those tasty legs right then. Yeah, you too, honey. Legs back for me. Thank you. I just want to point out to you that the wolves came right over to that. That's my signal. I can be doing a talk at any point, and if the wolves all of a sudden shift their focus to the fence line, it's almost always because some little child has put their legs through the fence line. They give me a lot of signals. So my plan was to raise the wolves up to think of me as alpha. Then I would be in control. Then I would be the boss. Then I would be safe. I shared my idea, my plan, with the lady who sent me the wolves. She had 30 years experience working with the wolves, and she cautioned me. She said, do not set yourself up to be alpha, and this is why. In a wolf pack, alpha is the boss and the ruler, but what do we understand about the strong young male wolves growing up below alpha? Who do they want to become? Who do they want to become? They want to become the alpha. And so she is explaining to me, if I set myself up to be alpha, I set myself up for the day I'm in here and a 150-pound wolf decides it's his day to take over and he's going to displace me. That would be a dangerous situation. I needed a new plan. How could I raise my wolves if I could not raise them up to think of me as alpha? I asked her what to do, and what she told me sounded scary and a little bit crazy. She told me this. She said, just raise your wolves with affection and gentleness and never discipline them. And I'm thinking, that doesn't sound sensible. They're going to grow up to think they can do whatever they want. I'll have no control. How could I possibly be safe in here like that? But remember, they were only 8-week-old puppies, so there was no risk to start that way. And that is how we began raising our wolves. We would just come in and love them and play with them and never discipline them. They got bigger and stronger. They would nick our faces sometimes. They would jump up on our backs and rip our shirts and scratch our backs. But we never punished. We never raised our hand. We would just gently turn and guide them, turn and direct them, but never ever punish them. And so now, 12 years has come and gone. And in that time, I've learned this whole wonderful lesson about how to have a relationship with a wild animal that's not based upon power and control, but based upon trust. It has been the highlight of my career working with animals to learn this whole new way of having a relationship, and it went much farther than that. As every day would pass, I would learn new lessons, and I'd come to understand our relationship better. And I want to tell you how far it went. I came to understand that I was in their space, and it would be their rules, not my rules. I came to understand that they would be the teacher, and I would be the student. And finally, I came to understand and accept that I would be trained by the wolves rather than the other way around. I never would have predicted it, but I would be trained by the wolves. And so it became my job to learn the rules of their space, to learn their wolf pack rules, and it became my job to adjust my behavior according to those rules. I didn't know the rules. Sometimes I broke the rules. Sometimes I made mistakes. Here's the neatest part of this. When I made a mistake, they did with me like you heard them do earlier with one another. They used their language to correct me. That's a huge part of my safety. The lady said to me, if you do something wrong with the wolves one time, they are going to growl at you. If you make a mistake a second time, she said they will put their teeth on you. And if you make a mistake a third time, she said it just like this, they will put holes in you. And so my safety in here depends upon me accepting that they're in control and I'm not, and me being willing to adjust my behavior according to what they tell me rather than the other way around. And I'll give you an example. One day I gave them a big piece of deer meat from a road-killed deer. The next day I came in and I was not being smart enough, and I broke a rule. I didn't ask, was there any of that meat left? And there was. And they had buried it, and I didn't know that. And I went and stood by it. And when I got too close to their meat, the wolf came over, and he looked at me and he growled. And it was my job right then to say, what did I just do wrong? And what do I need to fix? What do I need to change? And so I looked to the ground, I saw the meat was buried there, and I simply moved away. You understand? They were training me. They were telling me I had to adjust my behavior. I have to do what they tell me rather than the other way around. So it's been a wonderful learning experience. You can see how comfortable I am with them. Ahanu's coming over. He wants some more attention. But he can only get it if Ohanzi says so. You're not going to push? You're not going to push? I know you want love too. He's going. Oh, legs back, legs back. So that's the story of my wolves and my relationship with them. I'm glad you got to see some of the discussion in the beginning and understand that wolves will use their words. They will use their language to solve their disagreements. And even though it gets loud and scary, they have never hurt one another. I'm going to take some questions if you have any. Also, let me mention that 3 o'clock is baby goat cuddling in the maternity ward up here at 3 o'clock. They'll be announcing it soon. And at 3:30, I will bring out Quilly May. Quilly May, our bottle baby porcupine for bottle feeding. That will be in the picnic area at 3:30. So, does anybody have questions for me? What is your question, young man?